Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make an Ezio statue from Assassin's Creed. If you want to make him, here's what you're going to need. You will need some sandstone block, some nether brick, you'll also need black wool, brown wool, dark grey, light grey, white, and finally, some red wool. Those are the only colours that you're going to be needing, so once you have those, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'll be making it right here, you'll want to kick this off with this little combination of colours in a row on the floor. Do 1 brown wool, 2 black, 2 brown, 2 black, 1 brown to give you the first row of our Ezio statue. That's just the first row of his boot. So once you have those 8 blocks in a row right there, this is what you want to do for row number 2. Do 2 black wool in the 2 center spots of the row, and then fill everywhere else in with brown wool. For the next row, going from left to right, do this. Do 1 black wool, 2 brown, 2 red, 2 brown, 1 black. For the next row, do 1 black, 1 brown, 4 red, 1 brown, 1 black. For the next row, do 1 brown, 2 red, 2 nether brick, 2 red, 1 brown. For the next 2 rows, you want to do 2 red, 1 white, 2 nether brick, 1 white, 2 red. And as I said, you want to do that for 2 rows, so pretty much just copy everything that you've just done on this row onto the next row. For the next row, again going from left to right, do 1 red, 2 white, 2 nether brick, 2 white, 1 red. For the next 3 rows, do 2 nether brick in the center spots of the row, and then white everywhere else. But as I said, we want to do this for 3 rows, so 2, that would be the third, and then we've just got to add the white in there to give you something which should look a little bit like that. 3 rows. For the final row of the legs, do a single white wool on the ends of the row, and then just throw nether brick everywhere else in between to give you something which should look a little bit in total like this. That is what you want for the entire leg section of your Ezio. Once you've taken care of that, we can move up to the torso. So coming back up to where we finished off, this is what you want to do for the first row. And again, we're just going to have to build this from left to right because, well, most of this statue is pretty complicated, to be honest with you, especially the front. So for the first row, do 2 brown, 1 light grey, 1 white, 1 light grey, then 3 brown. That's the first row of his belt. For the second row, do 1 red, 1 nether brick, 1 light grey, 1 nether brick, 1 light grey, 2 nether brick, 1 red wool. As I said, kind of complicated. For the next row, do 1 red, 2 nether brick, 1 light grey, 3 nether brick, 1 red. For the next row, do 1 red, 2 white wool, 1 dark grey, 3 white wool, 1 red wool. For the next row, throw a single red wool on the ends of the row, and then throw white everywhere in between. For the next row, going from left to right, do 2 red wool, 1 white, 1 dark grey, 2 white, 1 red, 1 brown. For the next row, do 2 red, 4 white, 1 brown, 1 red. For the next row, do 2 red, 1 white, 1 dark grey, 1 white, 1 brown wool, 2 red. For the next row, do 2 red, 2 white, 2 brown, 2 red. For the next row, do 2 red, 1 white, 1 brown, 2 white, 1 brown, 1 red. For the next row, do 2 red, 1 brown, 3 white, 1 red, 1 brown. For the next row, do 1 red, 1 brown, 4 white, 1 red, 1 brown, to give you something which should look a little bit like this. I didn't mention it, but that final row there was just the final row of your torso, which should look exactly like this. A little bit complicated, a lot of colours meshed together there. Once you've completed that, we can now move on to Ezio's arm. So again, pause this if necessary if you're still working on any of that. Make sure it's right. Now we can move on to the arm. So starting with the right arm first, coming down to where we first started the torso with this brown row right here. This is what you want to do, coming right out of this brown block right here, Ezio's belt. Do 1 sandstone and then 3 brown wool. 1, 2, 3 to give you the first row of Ezio's hand. Every single other row will either be built left to right or it will just be a single row of colour, so it won't really matter. So for the second row of Ezio's hand, do 1 brown wool, 1 sandstone, 2 brown wool. For the next row, do 1 white, 3 black. For the next row, do an entire row of brown wool. For the next row, do 1 white, 3 black. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of brown wool, so that would be the first and that's the second. For the next row, do an entire row of white wool. Then do an entire row of red wool. Then do an entire row of white wool. Then for the next row, do 1 brown and then 3 white. For the next row, do 1 white and then 3 brown, and you should find that with your 1 white and 3 brown row that you have now come up top even with the top of the torso, and you've completed Ezio's entire left arm. Or right arm, it kind of depends what perspective you're looking at, but technically it's his left arm. Once you've completed that arm, we can now go ahead onto the left hand side and do pretty much the exact same thing. We're just going to want a mirrored version of this. So, coming left of the other side of Ezio's belt, you just want to do this combination of blocks. So, coming left of this brown wool, do 1 sandstone, and then 3 brown wool. 1, 2, 3. And just as with the other arm, we'll either be building from left to right, or it will just be single rows of colour, so it won't really matter. So for the second row, do 2 brown wool, 1 sandstone, 1 brown. For the next row, do 3 black wool, 1 white. For the next row, do an entire row of brown wool. For the next row, do 3 black wool, 1 white. For the next 2 rows, do 2 solid rows of brown wool. For the next row, do an entire row of white wool. For the next row, do an entire row of red. For the next row, do an entire row of white wool. For the next row, do 3 white, 1 brown. Kinda got my colours mixed up there. For the final row of your arm, do 3 brown wool, 1 white wool to give you something which should look exactly like this, and that is Ezio's entire right arm. Again, I suppose that does depend on the perspective. I mean, if you're looking from the back, it's his right. If you're looking from this view, it's his left. It's Ezio's right arm. Don't worry about it. That's exactly what it's supposed to look like. And in finishing that, you have 100% completed the front of your statue, minus the head, of course. I'm going to be back in a moment once we have the daylight and we can move on to the back of our statue. Alright, so moving on to the back of the statue. Literally come right the way around to the back of your Ezio. Come down to the bottom of the feet and do this. From each one of the end blocks of the bottom of your statue, do this little combination of colours coming out of the back. So towards the back where I am now, do 2 brown wool, then 1 black. And you want to do that on both sides, so you just want to have those 2 rows right there sticking out of the back of your statue. What you then want to do, once you have those 2 rows, is connect them together. So going from left to right, just do this. Do 2 brown wool, 2 black, 2 brown wool. So just to give you a bird's eye view, probably the best view, you just want to have something which should look a little bit like this. And how this is going to work, we're now just going to build up the entire back of the statue on top of these 8 back blocks right here. And we're just going to do that exactly how we've just done the front, so ignore these 2 side blocks for now, those will become important later. Continuing on up the back. So for the second row, this is what you want to do. Do 2 red wool in the 2 center spots of the row, and then do brown wool everywhere else. For the next row, do 4 red wool in the 4 center spots of the row, and then do brown wool everywhere else. For the next row, place a single black wool on the left and right hand sides of the row, and then just throw red wool everywhere in between. For the next row, do 2 white wool in the 2 center spots of the row, and then throw red wool everywhere else. For the next row, do 4 white wool in the 4 center spots of the row, and then throw red everywhere else. For the next row, do a single red wool on the ends of the row, and then throw white everywhere in between. For the next 3 rows, do 3 solid rows of white wool. So 1, 2, 3, and 1, 2, 3. For the next row, do 2 white wool in the 2 center spots of the row, and then throw white wool everywhere else. For the next row, do 4 red wool in the 4 center spots of the row, and then do white wool everywhere else, to give you what should be the entire back of Ezio's legs. That is exactly what you want to have. Pretty simple design. Once you've taken care of those, we can now move on to Ezio's actual back. So, once you have done that, this is what you want to do for the first row of the back, coming up to the top of the legs. You pretty much, for the next row, want to copy what you had on the previous row. So just do your 4 red wool on the 4 center spots of the row, and then do white wool everywhere else. For the next 2 rows, do a single white wool on the ends of your row, and then do red wool everywhere else. And as I mentioned, you want to have that for 2 rows, so just double that order. For the next row, building from left to right, do 1 white wool, 2 brown, 4 red, 1 white wool. For the next row, do 4 brown wool, 2 red, 2 white. For the next row, do 5 brown wool, 1 red, 2 white. For the next row, do 1 white, 5 brown, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 2 white. For the next row, do 2 white wool, then do 5 brown, then 1 white. For the next row, do 3 white wool, then do... I'm sorry guys, this requires a little bit of counting, this is getting ever so slightly confusing on my screen. Then do 3 brown wool, 1, 2, 3, 1 dark grey, then 1 white. For the next row, do 4 white wool, 1, 2, 3, 4, then 1 brown, 1 dark grey, 1 brown, 1 dark grey. For the next row, come in from the right hand side and do 1 white, then one dark grey, and then fill the rest of the row in with white wool. And now for the final row of the back of your statue, just do an entire row of white wool to give you something which should look a little bit like this. It's kind of hard to tell where the back ends and the legs begin actually, but I suppose that's sort of the point, considering the fact that Ezio is wearing a big giant cloak. But that is what you want for the back of your statue. Once you've completed that, all we have to do to finish this off is do the back of the arms. And I've got some extremely good news for you. The back of the arms are very simple, as not only are they positioned the same way as the front of the arms, but they're just a mirrored version of them. Let me show you. So for the back of the arms, what you simply want to do is look directly forward at what you did on the front and just copy exactly what you did. Just as I'm doing now, just do exactly what you did on the front. Block for block, just copy it. I'm not looking at my plans, I don't need to, I'm just looking directly forward at what I did not too long ago, and as you can see, that is exactly what you want for the back of your arm. 100% copy. Once you've done the first one, go ahead and do the second one. There's no pausing or anything required. You guys know exactly what you have to do for these arms, so I'm just going to quickly do this one as well. Just copying block for block, just as I did on the other side, exactly what I had on the front of the statue. So we've almost finished here. Just got the last couple of rows to do, and there you have it. Those are the backs of Ezio's arms, all nicely put together with Ezio's back. And actually, let's take a look at the entire back of the statue. There you go. That is exactly what you want to have for the back of your Ezio. So once you've taken care of that, we can now move on to the side of our statue. So coming over to this side of your statue and coming down to the very bottom of the legs, this is what you want to do. And we're going to be filling both of these spaces in together, by the way. So whatever you place in the left hand side, place on the right hand side as well. For the first 4 rows, you want to do 4 rows of brown wool. So 1, 2, 3, 4. For the next 3 rows, do 3 rows of red wool. So 1, 2, 3. And now for the rest of the side of the legs, just fill the rest of the side of the legs in with white wool. So you just want to end up with something that should look exactly like that. Very simple indeed. The sides of this statue are not complicated whatsoever. Once you've done that, we can now work our way up to the side of the arms. So first of all, we've just got to fill in the bottom of the hands, and to do that, you just pretty much want to play connect the colour from left to right. So just connect the sandstone to the sandstone on the left and right hand sides of the bottom of the hands, and then just fill everywhere else in with brown wool to form the first row of the side of the arms. And now all you pretty much want to do to fill in the side of the arms is again play connect the colour. So where you see we have brown on the left and right hand side, just connect the brown together with brown. Black, black, brown, brown, black, black, so on and so forth. Just work your way all the way up the side of the arm, just connecting the left colour to the right colour and the right colour to the left colour, exactly like this. It might be a bit easier to see what I'm talking about now that you can actually see the arm all together, but you just want to connect the colour that you have on the left side of the arm to the right hand side of the arm. It doesn't get simpler than that. Once you've done that, all we have to do now is just fill in the top of the shoulder, and to do that we just want to fill it in with brown wool, and we just have to come in by a row of 3. So 1, 2, 3, coming this way into the center of the statue. As you can see there, that's just Ezio's shoulder pad, that's why it's brown, and that's all you have to do. So just to show you the entire side of your Ezio statue, you just want to have something which should look exactly like this. Very, very simple, completely uncomplicated whatsoever. So Once you've taken care of that first side, we can go ahead and move on to the second side of the statue. So coming onto this side, guess what? It gets even easier than what we were just doing. Why is this side easy? Because all you have to do to complete this side is look directly over at that side and copy exactly what you've already done. It is that simple, and that's exactly what I'm doing. As a matter of fact, I'm just looking all the way over to the other side of the statue that we've just completed, and I'm just copying every single thing that I can see on that side. It gets a little tricky with the bottom of the hands, but all you've got to remember for the arms, just play connect the colour. So that's exactly what I'm doing here. So black, brown, black, 2 rows of brown, white, brown, white, brown, fill in the top of the shoulder, come in by 3, and this side of the statue is already done. I don't think that even took 2 minutes. There you go, that is the other side of your statue, 100% completo. And I know that I did that a little quickly, guys, but honestly, if for the legs, you just copy exactly what you have on the opposite side of your statue, and for the arms, if nothing else, you just remember that you have to connect the front colour to the back colour, you'll be completely fine. The sides of the statue are very simple, so pause this if necessary if you're still working on any of that. Once you have taken care of that second side of your statue, we can now move on to Ezio's head. So come around to the front of your statue and come up to the very top of your torso. Once you're here, take out your white wool and do a row of 8 white wool directly on top of the top row of your torso. So like this. Now, for the next row that you want to do it in front of this row of 8 white wool, and you want to do this. Do a single white wool on the ends of the row coming towards you, and then just throw sandstone everywhere else in between, like this. This is going to be the working row of Ezio's face. We're going to be building up on top of this now. Actually, we're only going to be building on top of the sandstone, so ignore this white wool that we have on the left and right hand side. So, for the second row of Ezio's face, do 2 brown wool in the 2 center sandstone spots of the row, and then just do sandstone everywhere else. As I said, ignoring the white wool on the ends. For the next row, throw a single black wool on the ends of the row, and then throw sandstone everywhere else in between. For the next row, do 2 sandstone in the 2 center spots of the row, and then do black wool everywhere else. And now for the, would you believe it, the final row of Ezio's face, do an entire row of black wool. So you just want to end up with something that should look exactly like this. Very simple. The reason that we only have to build this much of Ezio's face is because his hood is going to be covering the rest of it. So once you've taken care of that, this is what you want to do next. Take out your light grey wool and come to this point right here. This red wool block, this top left hand corner block of Ezio's torso, just underneath this white wool. Do 2 light grey coming out of this red block, coming towards you like this. It just wants to protrude out 1 block in relation to the face. You then want to come up on top of this block by a total of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then take out your white wool and go up by 3. So 1, 2, 3. So you just want to have something which should look like that. And from the side view, just so that you guys can see, it should look like this. Once you've done that, this is what you want to do next. So come up to the top block here, this third white block that you placed, and go right of it with this combination of colours. Do 1 white wool, 1 light grey, 2 white wool, 1 light grey, 2 white wool. You then, once you've done that row right there, want to come down from this final white wool by 2 with your white. 1, 2. Then take out your light grey and go down by 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then just connect this 6th block to the torso, just as you have on the other side. So you just want to have this. You guys can see what this is going to be. This is Ezio's hood. Once you have this shape right here, this is what you want to do. So we're just going to be building down the hood and covering his face a little bit, just placing blocks directly underneath this top row right here. So this is what you want to do for the second row, just going left to right, just building under here. Do 1 white wool, 4 light grey, 1 white wool. For the next row, do an entire row of light grey wool. For the next row, you just want to do 2 light grey coming in from each end like that. So you just want to leave those 2 middle blocks there just exposed. And for the next row, you just want to do a single light grey coming in from each end of the row like that. So that is what you want to have for the part of the hood that is covering Ezio's face. As you can see, we didn't have to build an entire face as most of it's covered anyway. So that is what you want to have for the front part of your hood. Once you've taken care of that, we can now move on to the rest of it. We'll do the back part next, I think. So come round to the back of your head, and starting from this original row of 8 white wool here, you want to keep adding rows of 8 white wool until you overhang the back of your statue by a single row of 8 white wool. So you just want to have something which should look like this. Once you just are overhanging the back of the statue by 1, this is what you want to do next. We're going to do another row, except it's multicolored. So for the final row of the back of your head, you just want to do 4 light grey in the 4 center spots of the row, and then 2 white wool either side of it, like this. We're now just going to be building up the back of the head exactly how we've just built up the front. So for the next 7 rows of the head, this is what you want to do. Do 2 light grey in the 2 center spots of the row, and then do white everywhere else. However, as I said, you want to do that for 7, so that's the 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, like that, and that should just line up with the top of the head there. So just going to add in everything else. So those 2 middle rows, as I said, they just want to be in total 7 blocks high, and then you just want to fill everywhere else in with white wool, as I'm doing now. So you just want to end up with something that should look a little bit like this. This is what you want to do next. So coming under the back of the head here, first of all, do a row of white wool coming out of the top row of the back, and then do a row of light grey directly in front of it. So you're just lengthening the back of the head a little bit. It's just the hood makes it look a little bigger and, of course, a little longer. Makes sense. It's in line with the front of the hood now, as you can see. It both starts from the same point. So that's just what you want to do underneath the back of the head. Now, for the top of the head, the only other bit of this that actually has any detail to it, let me just find my plans on this. So, this is what you want to do here. Looking at the top of the head now, where we have these 2 single light grey wool, you just want to connect these 2 single light grey to the back of the head like this, just running over the top of the head, just as I've done there. And it's as simple as that. Once you've run those 2 rows of light grey, every single other part of Ezio's hood is just completely white. So I'm just going to turn this into a giant cube, as I like to do, and I'm just going to fill everywhere else in with white wool, and that'll be that. So for the top of the head, as I've just said, do your 2 rows of light grey wool coming out from the front of the head. It's obvious where you have to start them. From these points right here, just run them straight to the back of the head, and then just fill everywhere else in with white wool. And that's it. That is Ezio's head 100% completo. The most difficult part of Ezio, really, for explanation purposes. I've just realised, guys, that I may have made an ever so slight error at the back of the head. So come round to the back of the head, and you guys can see where we added in these 2 rows, like coming out of the upper back to extend the hood a little bit. these white blocks here on the ends of the row shouldn't be white, they should be light grey. And that's it, a very slight error there. You may not have even noticed it as I toured around, but I just thought about it right then. So you just want to change those white wool into light grey, and as you can see, looking at the side of the statue, it kind of makes sense. It makes it look ever so slightly better. But that is the head 100% complete, and therefore that is Ezio 100% complete. I'm going to be back in a moment to give you a nice little tour of the statue before we wrap this up. So this is what your Ezio statue should look like once it's been 100% completed. It really is a glorious looking statue, this one. Really do love Ezio. It's nothing I loved more than Assassin's Creed 2 when it first came out. Takes me back. Takes me back, man. Now, I really do love this statue though. I think it's one of my new favourites, and I realise that I say that just about every time I make a new statue these days, although that might just be because I'm getting ever so slightly pickier with what statues that I'm making, but I really do like it. I especially like the hood. It might be the hood that I really like as well. I like how the face is concealed. I even toyed around with the idea of giving him black robes. I'm still thinking about it. I think I might even make an ulterior version where I just give him like give him the black robes, maybe mess about with that a little bit, maybe put them next to each other. Might even throw some hidden blades on there. I don't know, but this is what your Ezio statue should look like once you've 100% completed it. Hopefully you guys are looking at something ever so slightly similar, if not identical, on your screens. Hopefully you guys had an easy enough time making this. I know it's not one of the easier ones. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.